I can't tell you how thrilled I am and to see all of you, even though all of us look a little more tired than we did back at the end of January. I wanted to start with an announcement of an event that's coming up in September. It's sponsored by the Alliance for the Study of the Holocaust, and that's the group you've heard about all semester that helps to underwrite the cost of bringing the speakers. We are doing a wonderful gathering to honor the survivors who are still in our midst in Sonoma County and the people who've made a contribution to Holocaust education over the last 23 years of the series. It's going to be on a Sunday afternoon in September. I have some flyers. Please take one if you're interested and kind of keep track of the date. And I also have a sheet for people who might be interested in either getting an invitation to the event, in assisting us with putting it on. We may need some extra hands the day of for setup, to greet people, things like that. And there are also every year a few people who join the board of the Alliance and help us try to figure out how to move forward, who have been students in this series, and we would love to have a few of you join us if you are in the area. And so that's something else you can sign up for. If anybody has any questions about either the event or working with the Alliance, please see me after the lecture. And I'm just going to scoot these around, and please take one if you're interested. Thanks.
Well, here we are again. As has been my habit, I'd like to thank you again for showing up and doing such good work. What we do today is talk about what we've learned. Not everybody speaks or wants to speak, but we have some students who I hope represent you well. They're going to tell us a bit about their reflections. We've asked them ahead of time to think about it. We would also welcome, after they're finished, your comments, if you have some. I know that it's, how shall I say it, we're all a bit out and ready for school to be over, but I hope that they will inspire you. After they finish, and the faculty have a word or two, I'm going to start, and after they're finished, Barbara gets not only the first word, but the last word today. And then we have a couple of students we'd like to honor, and you'll find out about that. And then I would like to show you some of what the money that you have so generously contributed has gone to do in Rwanda. We have that, and then we'll all say goodbye and farewell, and wish all the seniors good luck. How many people are, once again, spending their last few hours? Okay. And then we'll collect the fine issue. I've forgotten about that. What I wanted to talk about just a bit is some of what I have talked about in class and at the beginning, and it's why I believe studying about the Holocaust and genocide is so important and what it can mean to us. And I've said this many times, and I'm sure you will understand in a the Holocaust is what we call a watershed event. That things were different before the Holocaust, and they are very, very different after the Holocaust. And it's not only unique to the 20th century, but also to all of human history. Unfortunately, we've had to experience genocides after the Holocaust, and we are living through one right now. By studying the Boston genocide, it gives you an opportunity to focus in on the abuses and uses of power. We're not very well schooled in understanding the exercise of power in our society. There is an awful lot done to keep us distracted from that. But when you study the Holocaust and you think about genocide, it's hard not to think about what happens when people are given unbridled power, how they can use it. Certainly we've learned how to understand what the consequences of racism and prejudice are. It's been an important part of us in considering about what happens when we begin to stereotype people and how prejudice can escalate into mass murder, death, and even genocide. The other thing we pride ourselves on is being modern. But the Holocaust, especially, helps us understand how modernity, or being modern, is not always a wonderful thing. I mean, it's great that we have all kinds of entertainment and we look at consumerism in certain ways, but it was also technology that made the Holocaust so possible. Studying the Holocaust and genocide provides an understanding for us about how important it is to not stay silent, that when we stay silent, there are better chances that people will die, and that it is an opportunity for us to see this kind of mass killing, genocide, that we need to speak up. And you've responded to that wonderfully in the opportunities that were given to you, both in terms of financial contributions, but also in supporting the Human Rights Club and sending postcards, etc. They've been most successful. I hope that one of the things you've learned is how complex the historical process can be, that it isn't just simply George Washington chopped down a cherry tree and then he didn't lie about it, that there are complexities to our lives and that we always need to take a long look and not make some kind of simple assumptions about what's going on around us. We also learned how popular culture has appropriated this event called the Holocaust, and also what happened in Rwanda, and has kind of bent it so that the truth is, while it's very, very hard to find the truth, and a search for it is always a goal, popular culture has a way of distorting the truth in some ways, so that we need to know that we need to continue to be inquirers. I've said this before. It'll be the last time I can say it to you as a group. I commend you for your efforts to spend time with grappling with this subject. I hope it has enriched not only your intellectual life, but your life as a citizen. And as I say, I commend you. So now we're going to have students talk. And you can either hear if you'd like, or you can speak from right there. Whatever most comfortable for you.
Can you guys hear me if I speak from here? Myrna asked me to say something that I learned, and immediately I knew what I wanted to say to the class, because I think a lot of us may have had the same experience and may not have really fully understood what was going on. And for me, before coming to this class, I knew that a Holocaust had occurred, that 6 million Jews had been brutally murdered by Nazis in Germany, but I did not understand what a huge effort it took for something like that to occur, and how ordinary people like us and our parents and families had to contribute for that to happen at all, because without them it couldn't happen. And I never realized that I had a universal moral obligation. And once I learned that, I realized mine was pretty close to our nation and to my family and friends. And when you realize that, you can really expand it, which I was able to do. So for the first time in my life, I donated, I wrote letters, I read on it and could talk about it and know what I'm talking about and have a stance. So I've really grown, and I think that's probably true for a lot of people, and I thought I would put it out there so you can recognize what Myrna and Barbara and our speakers were able to give us.
Very good, thank you.
I'm Kathy, and I'm representing Professor Barbara Lush-McCaffrey's section. My entire class sent me stuff about what they learned, so kind of a conglomeration of all of our points of view. And I wrote it down because I'm an English major, and that's what I do. Our class was an extremely lucky one in that we had a very open atmosphere filled with people from all walks of life looking at this class from such different points of view. We had sociology majors who were interested in the survival aspects, psychology majors who gave us interesting insights into the minds of others, even ex-military who could provide us with a sense of how it might feel to be on the other side of the story. We even had a wide array of religious backgrounds that brought so much into the current tragedy in Darfur, and that it is our responsibility to step up and step in. We cannot rely upon others and become bystanders, for they are just as guilty for letting things happen. Compassion is the key that leads to survival. Forgiveness has been an important lesson to all of us. John Ross' lecture and Simon Wiesenthal's book have impacted us greatly and taught us that without forgiveness, things will fester, but that there are some crimes that are unforgivable. Everything is different to everyone, but that does not make them worth any less.
I understood, the basics of the Holocaust, who were the perpetrators, who were the victims, when it occurred. But I never really had the chance to think about the motivations and the whys, like why did it occur and how did it occur and what action, like what events had to occur in order for it to get to the point that it did. And this class really allowed me to have that opportunity to reflect on these different aspects of the Holocaust. I reflect back to Barbara's Holocaust literature and just being able to look at different aspects of the Holocaust, something that I haven't done in any other class because I've only really viewed it from a history perspective, and just being able to see survivors writing their words down on paper. Being able to experience a survivor speaking is one thing, but as a lot of us noted in our groups, it was very rehearsed because they've done it so many times, and it's a protection thing for them to be protecting us and protecting themselves when they're speaking. But when you see it down, there was that one about the Adam and Eve one. I think we all remember that one poem, and just you can honestly feel how that person was feeling when they wrote it. And I'll never forget that because I think it allowed me to view things from a different point of view. It was a great experience.
Okay, thank you.
We didn't plan to be back to back, or I didn't know that you were going to be talking about Dan Page. I've been thinking all day about what did I want to talk about, and some of it is I'm the backup hitter, so I'm going to try to cover some of the things that others may not have. Perhaps the two writers who have most profoundly influenced me are two women, Audre Lorde and Adrienne Rich. And early as a graduate student, I got to hear them talk. And the name of the panel that they were talking on was the transformation of science. For me, that is a lot about what we've been doing, which is trying to bring to language what actually happened, the profound experience of meeting those survivors. Even if they were telling their stories over and over, the way in which you opened your hearts to them and allowed their stories in. Those of us who were facilitating the discussion section noticed an amazing shift in how you were dealing with history that we were at that point covering, to the point where you started taking action and realized that there were issues of social justice in each of your lives. Some of them as small as not allowing somebody to tell a joke in your presence that put somebody down, to contributing money to going off to Africa, to work people that you were committed to, that full range, and that any of those acts was as important as the other. And the whole of this last part of the class, I've been standing up on an issue that profoundly affected me when I heard that the university was going to be reducing the funding that was devoted to diversity efforts. And so I started using my voice to put attention on it and have people understand the impact of that decision. And we are still working on that issue, and we're hoping for a positive outcome. But I really felt that I needed to put myself on the line in the same way as we were asking all of you to do that. For me, the other part of it is being profoundly moved by the way in which all with this material, your ability to understand the Holocaust in light of other genocides, to really see that an individual in a small way can make a difference in the way we either give in to evil or resist it, and your ability to really hang in there with some very complex issues, and your understanding of becoming evil and the issues of forgiveness have been some of the most exciting discussion sections and conversations. And I just hope that all of you will continue to use this material and use the friendships that have been formed in the course of this semester. And I want to thank all of you.
Would you like to join your classmates?
Yes.
Okay. Some incredible contributions to how I think about what I do, and also has become a wonderful friend to me and also to Barbara. And I wanted to think of some way to honor her because of her contributions and how deeply she feels about what we do. And she's a former English teacher. So I thought, why not honor a student who's written an especially I don't know, some of you have probably come to my office, so you know that I have this hanging on the wall. And this is the 5th year we are awarding the Sylvia Suker Award. There it is. I don't know whether you've seen it or not. Your names will be on there. And, wow, you have, sure.
I'm going to put on the little aids. This is a quote from The Sunflower, from Kushner's section. "I'm not sure there is such a thing as forgiving another person, though I know there is such a thing as being forgiven. To be forgiven is to feel a weight of the past lifted from our shoulders, the feel of the stain of past wrongdoing washed away." And Christine says, "When I first read the Kushner quote above in The Sunflower, I'm grateful that he had put into words the question I've asked myself since beginning this book, and something that all of the contributors have in some way attempted to address. Principally, what does it mean to truly forgive?" Later on she says, "I know I tend toward vengeance instead of forgiveness. As Cynthia Ozick explains in her contribution, quote, what we call vengeance is the act of bringing public justice to evil, not by repeating the evil, not by imitating the evil, not by initiating a new evil, but by making certain never to condone the old one, never even appearing to condone it. I have such a strong belief in the power of awareness to do good in this world that I care far more about exposing evil and learning from it than I do about forgiving it. Although I don't believe in God as Christians or Jews do, I do believe there is a higher power in this universe, called unity or whatever, and that the natural state of this universe is in balance. My mother always taught me that wrongs will be righted by the universe. She said that no pain or injustice will ever go unnoticed. People will always have to answer for their crimes in this life or the next, in some form or another. I've always believed her. I cling to the idea like I imagine Catholics clinging to a priest's assurances that saying a few Hail Marys will absolve them from their sins. Yet when considering the atrocities of the Holocaust, the enormities of the crimes in other genocides, how can they ever be righted? How can balance ever be restored from the disruption that these acts cause? I don't know, especially because these crimes against humanity persist to the present day. It truly does not seem like God was on leave. It truly does seem like God was on leave, as the old woman in Wiesenthal's camp exclaimed. For balance of the universe, Karl's death could not make up for the 300 Jews he helped to massacre. Maybe by allowing Wiesenthal to live, hunt Nazis, and share his story with the world so that countless thousands upon thousands could evaluate their own willingness to forgive, there is a move toward balance. Yet forgiving humanity, let alone individual perpetrators, for the horrors that we inflict upon each other, seems impossible when we still so Thanks, Christine.
This comes from Nikki's midterm, where she says, saying that evil is committed by ordinary people is somewhat perplexing to me. I have always believed that once a person kills another single person, they are no longer considered ordinary. So to swallow that ordinary people are the ones committing these mass killings and genocide was for me. She then goes on. Groupthink is a term often used in psychology that refers to when people conform with highly cohesive groups so as to be accepted and not to cause problems. I think a lot of what Waller says, in accordance to situational influences, has a lot to do with groupthink. I no longer feel as if referring to these perpetrators as ordinary is wrong. In fact, I think it is an important statement that many people need. As witnessed in Poland during the Holocaust, in Rwanda, and many other places where genocide has occurred, neighbors and even relatives will turn on one another in order to conform to the happenings of the times. So resisting seems somewhat far-fetched for me. Instead, I think we need to focus our attention on understanding, focus our understanding and attention, and maybe even controlling the outside influences in order to get a better handle on a situation where I have a choice of being in the in-group or being part of them. I don't necessarily know what I would choose. I think in certain situations, our innate drive inside of us to survive and take over, and our actions may not correspond with the person we believe we are. I would hope that I would not be a perpetrator, a victim, or a bystander, but instead would be someone fighting for the cause. I wish there were a way to share more of what you have written with each other. And in fact, I think that perhaps that might be something we might incorporate next year. So we come almost to the end. I would like to know if there's anything that any of you that were brought. Very difficult, they said, to imagine what had gone on there. Those are coffins. As you know, AIDS is rampant in Africa. That's the church.
And isn't that the church where many people were massacred?
Yes, it was the church where many people were massacred. I think that's one as well.
Mm-hmm. There are some of the kids.
These are some of the officials. They also do training in teaching people how to use pottery. He doesn't have to worry about miles per gallon, does he? And those are mass burial sites. You can bullet hole in his head. Lucky to have survived. Yeah, it's a sculpture, commemoration of what happened. I remember Julie and Becky telling me that there are still mass graves, but this sculpture portrays some of the killing that went on. Quite stark. I think that part of this is also part of real bodies. This is another one of the places that people were trapped. And as you can see the mural there. This is, I believe, about the truth or the reconciliation trials that they're having. And in those trials, the homes on the hill. Oh, it's like the beginning. No. Okay. Once again, thank you for a successful semester. Thank you for participating, and you can bring your
We need to.
T-shirt.
Yeah. Those people who ordered t-shirts from the Human Rights Club, we do have those for you, and we also have an extra few that come purchase today. And if you're interested in the Human Rights Club and you get it on email list, you don't have to. Don't.
Yes.
Don't forget to fill out your attendance sheets for class.
Yeah, there's some attendance sheets from my sections over there if you want to fight over them and cause a scene at the last lecture.
Thank you, everyone.
Do you want them in different sections?
Of course.